Welcome back, my friends and fellow gamers. I'm Wrath, and we're back for episode 3 of our Surviving Alone game. So, in the last episode, I had talked about that I needed to build a vehicle that we could get around in that would cover our needs for the immediate future. And that really comes down to that this pod is not nearly capable enough for our needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to park this guy just a little bit further away here. Alright. Toggle the lock, shut the engines off. And we're going to build a new vehicle. What I want is something where I can take this larger constructor, this basic assembly unit, with me, but still have all of the amenities of this ship here. That's a tall order. I mean, we're asking a lot of our system to do that. So I spent some time in creative, just kind of playing around with the idea. And I think that I have come up with a reasonable... I'm going to need a lot more metal plates than that. I think that I have come up with enough enough of a design to make that happen. So right now I'm just going to look at what we actually have in supply here. We need a massive amount of iron because the design I built is pretty big. I'm not going to lie. The one thing I did find out though was because I was trying to build it with an understanding of the materials that I have available in the actual survival game. However, the one mistake that I did make was that I used a industrial cockpit in the design, and I can't use an industrial cockpit because we can't make one. And the reason we can't make one is because the industrial cockpit along with the fighter cockpit both require metal grids, which you have to have cobalt to construct. So they are basically inaccessible. Until I can find a source of cobalt, those particular materials are just out of those particular construction components, those building blocks are out of our reach. So I'm going to modify the design as we have the opportunity while we go. But the design itself is actually really, really good. At least I think it is. Very stable. I'm going to make a few kind of on-the-fly modifications to it after I had done some testing with it in the creative mode. But I think it will be relatively stable and meet our needs for the most part. Alright.
Inventory full.
Let's go ahead and toss all this back in there. Now I'm going to need possibly a couple thousand at least of the iron. And since we don't have an iron mine, it's very difficult to find a proper set of resources. I'd like to go and get that. Let's see if we can go and get that. Let's refuel. That's refueled, and then make sure that we're refueled as well. Alright. Let's go get that. Anytime I can get some of these signals when they're close enough like this over the broad area, then I want to do it. I'm very, very concerned at the fact that I can't find even like surface deposits of any of the metals. That is largely disturbing, purely for the fact that if I can't find them, then how am I supposed to... Ooh, there's lots of fun stuff there. More rainbow crap. Alright, good enough for me. If I can't find surface deposits, let alone underground deposits, I'm going to have a very hard time. So in the design that I picked out, that I built, I came up with the idea of using the larger, more powerful azimuth scanners so that I could get like a 250 meter range out of those, just so that I can maximize my potential chances of finding what I need. Alright, so toss that in there. Toss all of this in there. Those will all be useful later. And let's go put the organics in the system here. Alright, all of those will become relevant and important later, but I think for now we're going to just work on the build here. So the primary plan still stands. How much iron do I have? 198 or 189. A little dyslexia there. That's enough to get us a basic start, but let's flip on the lights here and gather up all the stuff we've been mining. Okay. Alright, we're going to have to keep working on it. I want to try and get as big of a supply as I can get. Again, we're going to be needing this for a fairly big vessel. Now, I thought about when I was building my test designs, I thought about including the refinery in the design, but along the way I kind of realized that that's foolish. If I build it with the refinery attached, I'm making a 15 small block dead zone that I can't really attach anything else. You know, that's a 15 by 5 space that I can't use for any other purpose, and which very likely would make the vehicle very, very top heavy, or would take up a large section of the bottom of the suspension. And I just really couldn't find a good way to do it because of the necessary orientation. Either I would have to pipe them up together in a really odd way, which I wasn't really kind of keen on doing, or I would have to have the refinery be upright because it does not have a port on what would be the bottom from this perspective. It only has a port on that side and that side. So I would either have to set some kind of attachment system or it just really wouldn't happen. None of those were really that good of an option for me, so I decided to go with something else. Okay. Chuck that in there. Hopefully if I can get like 1,000 iron, I should be maybe a third of the way there. This thing's going to take a lot. And I don't expect that it will be... I think it's going to probably be the work of multiple episodes to try and get this thing done. Just for the perspective that it's a lot to put together. However, the solutions I found to what are some of the quintessential problems of this work really well. One, I have a modded rotor in the game that is flat. Which is quite possibly one of my favorite connections. It still technically qualifies as a rotor, as in it functions in having two sides. One is a large grid size and the other is a small grid size.
Inventory full.
But it is much more stable in practice when you're working with the other units. So let's see here. It is, I think it will be probably my most favorite design at this point.
Inventory full.
Okay.
Inventory full.
I'm actually really excited to get this build started and done so that we can get really on the road to finding a better base location. But I still think that this is going to be the better part of 3 or 4 episodes to get this done, just because of the size and complexity
Inventory.
of this thing and the need to gather up the raw resources. Like, you know, building it in creative was one thing. That was fairly easy because you don't have to resource any of it. And even building it in a survival world where you have access to the proper resources is not that big of a deal. You know, you can go up mine a large chunk of iron and throw it in and get a much more efficient amount of iron than what you get from the stone. But since we are just limited to what is that? Since we are just limited to stone, we have to work on it. What did I just see over here? That's, oh, it's a hole in the world with some ice showing through. Okay. Since we are facing that limitation, it would be better if I could just take the time to gather up like 1,000,000 resources. But for now, I'll settle with getting up to 1,000 iron, and then we will start putting together all the craziness. Now, one of the shortcuts I'm going to use is that I'm not actually going to fully assemble my assembler in the space that I'm using it, because I can simply break down the one that I have built to fill that role without too much headache. So that's what I plan on doing. This little rock lip here has been a godsend for collecting all this stuff.
Inventory full.
Alright. That should be enough for now. Actually, no. Let's make sure that we're over 1,000 before we start saying that we're good.
Inventory full.
Alright.
Inventory full.
Kind of wish they had like a fix on that where it would only kick that off once every, say, half second. Alright, that's going to be 1,000. Alright, let's do it. Now, in order to build this, I'm going to want to set it up a little bit higher. Let's put some build in here. I'm going to take a bunch of those and get them going. Take this many to start with. And let's build this up here. So, let's see here. Alright, that will be our space for placing it. We're going to throw put that on there. Alright, so that will be our construction point. We'll use this to build it because that's really going to be the center of the vehicle. The centerpiece of the vehicle is this this major component here. So I don't want to throw that off too much. Okay. Oh no, sorry. Didn't want to do two of those. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is we need to make the transition to the small grid, which is going to be this guy. So you've got that side, which is the one showing on the bottom. That's the large grid size, and we've that side right there is the small grid size. So we're going to roll this up on this side. Did I put two of those down or just one? I put Okay, that's one full one. All right. So let's start by doing the main components. All right, 4 tubes. Let's take the parts that we have first. All right, I'm going to assemble this as we go, piece by piece. All right, so 4 tubes and 2 construction components. Okay. All right. 10 steel tubes. So that takes a lot of resources. So look at this. We're already through just one component, and we're already pretty much out of metal. All right, so the next item on our list, now that we've got our transition set up, the next item we need to do is we want to create a cradle for this that allows me to attach in close proximity to it, but does not screw the damn thing up. Because normally if I try to put steel plates around the perimeter of it, even though it's square shaped, the close proximity of those blocks will cause phantom forces, and basically things will go boom. So instead, we're going to use blast doors. And I had the inspiration for this late last night. So first we're going to rotate this till we get the one that I want. And we're going to place that guy down. All right, so that's going to be, and we're going to place these in a row of 3. This is going to be our primary cradle. And this will allow us to place these directly under the main box without it creating phantom forces. Oh, thirsty. I'm a thirsty, thirsty boy. Oh, not there. Okay. My mouse has developed this double clicking problem, which I need to fix. But that will be later. Okay. I need to lock this rotor down. Share tensors. Turn it off. All right. So with that going, now that we've got that set, we're going to set one more of these on each one. And then we will place, again, the inner corners here. Let's make sure we got the angle right. There we go. All right, that creates the cradle, and then I'm going to run this up the back side as well. That will give us plenty of basic space. Here, let's go ahead and lay these out, and then I'll weld them all up. And alrighty. That gives us our basics, and those are all going to just require steel plates, so we just need to make sure that we assemble enough steel plates, which we probably will not. I'm going to need a ton of those, so let's go put these all back. And get to work. As usual, we're running against the clock of our own food systems because I don't have all the necessary food systems that I would like in place.
Inventory full.
Alright, let's go dump all of this stuff down. So I'm curious to know if anybody has played with all these kinds of mods before, and if you have any advice on the assertive mods or the daily needs mods, because I'm finding it very interesting. I'm finding it very challenging, and I do love the challenge. I'm wondering if I should just start clearing this off. And let those roll downhill for me and get a little closer.
Inventory full.
Alright, let's collect what we've got here. Ugh, pardon me. Ugh. Need some Kleenex for that one. Ugh.
Inventory full.
So, fortunately, I don't think I'm going to have any other unwanted guests showing up just yet, primarily because my threat level is relatively low, I think. I don't know how to assess the threat level, but since I have no access to armament, and I have only access to a small arms weapon, I think the game is assessing me quite rightly as being relatively low threat. And since I'm low threat, it's not assessing me as being a danger enough to warrant the enemy base is coming after me just yet. That's probably not going to remain the case as we proceed, because I will of course be maneuvering myself to get more resources, and therefore I will eventually have access to magnesium, and the game will start assessing me as a real potential danger. Something that I'm not opposed to.
Inventory full.
But this sort of mega truck is going to be the first step on that path of getting myself into a position where I'm not so vulnerable. 'Cause like right now, if a drone spawned anywhere near me, close enough to detect me and move in for an attack, I would be largely helpless to do anything at all about it. At best, I could provide a short-lived resistance with the small amount of ammunition that I have for my hand weapon. Beyond that, it would be just a matter of them shooting down
Full.
whatever I had. The only thing I could hope to do is fly up to it, avoiding the guns, and try to cut off like the wings or whatever in order to make it fall out of the sky. And even then, it probably would not be without significant personal injury. So probably a wash from there.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Now I think that I limited myself to only things that I could have unlocked, that I have unlocked so far in this playthrough. So, or things that I will unlock in the process of building the vehicle itself. That should give me plenty of room to construct the basics of the vehicles that I need. Well, those are all floating down there. Need to grab some food. I'm gonna need to get waste processing on the list of things to be done. Need 5,000 iron. Jeez. Let's get to it.
Inventory full.
Okay, so still virtually nothing.
Inventory full.
Okay. Alright. Got more going down. Let's get the stuff that's up here first. Holy moly.
Inventory full.
Unbelievable. I like it. So we're going to end up with a large supply of silicon and nickel for a while. But I don't think that that's going to be really a blessing. Bounce, bounce.
Inventory full.
Gotta keep moving. I'll be glad once we get this thing done, as it will give us much more opportunity to not have to face this kind of crap again. And try and save some fuel now. Time is more important than fuel, and since I have an abundance of fuel resources in the area,
Inventory full.
it's pointless for me to try and worry about that when I can simply put this thing together as fast as humanly possible. All right.
Inventory full.
I know that this is not the most exciting of things to watch, but in all honesty, this is definitely going to give us a bit more to work with. Alright. So I'm going to take the time now to start building the framework out of the various different components. So I need large conveyor tubes. Where are those locked in the progression. Large conveyor tubes are behind medium cargo. Fair enough. So let's go ahead and build a medium cargo container. Let me see if I remember correctly. It's going to be 4 out from there. Okay. So in order to not waste too much in resources, I'm going to take a shortcut here. 1, 2, 3. So that's the 4. That's the size it's going to be. Put that down there for now, so that we can throw on the medium cargo container that we wanted to do here. And then we'll put on the secondary one as well. That will... Alright. So those are the primary cargo component. So let's cut that because we don't need it. And let's start filling these guys in. Alright, so I need 40 interior plates, 20 construction components. Let's work with what we got for the moment. Need one more interior plate, but we don't have the resources for it, so let's get back to mining. Trying to mine through all of this is such a nightmare. So let's just get to work. Alright, so let's drop a full one.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Alright. Quickly go and drop these off. Drop those off too.
Inventory full.
Okay.
Inventory full.
Okay. ahead and drop the big one here. Drop another big one. There we go. And then maybe one more. All right.
Inventory full.
Keep them going.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
All right. That's got us at least set here. Alrighty. Alright, so what else is next? 8 computers and 8 motors. Or 6. Okay, what else? Okay. Motor. And each one gets one display. Okay. All right. I need 11 more interior plates. Alrighty. That should be more than enough. Alright, now, since we finished this, that has given us new items, specifically the items we needed to progress down here. So we will need to create some of these guys in order to get access to these, which we will need at a certain point here. Not just yet, though. So this is the one that I need right now. So we need this guy right here. Okay, so I need 2 interior plates to place these. Okay. So we'll place the first one and then we'll place the larger one behind it. Alright, so that's going to give us the measure that we need for the top. So I should be able to cut these guys off the top now without a problem. Alright, there we go. Alright, so what are we going to need for these? We're going to need 4 interior plates, 12 construction components. And then 5 of these. So that will get us squared away. And then 2 motors. Alright, so we've got that constructed. Now we need 20 and 30 and 25. Okay. Alright, so let's go check the rest of these. 2 motors and then another 15. And finally 5 more interior plates. Now we're about to run out of iron on all of this. But we'll get pretty close. Oh no, we got it all. Alright, sweet. Did we not get small steel tubes? I did girders. Oh, darn it. Of course. Alright. Always got to pick the wrong horse in that fight. And I built one too many, but that's okay. We can always put it back. Alright, so the next item on our list is actually a survival generator. What the... Oh. So we now need a survival kit again. But we'll come back to that. We're now going to start on the other end of this and start with the engine block. So we're throwing down an engine block, and then we're going to put an O2 gen there as well. And we're going to make sure that we've got this facing the right way. Toss it there. And then we're going to throw down this little guy here. Alright. Oh, shoot. Can't do that until I weld up those back parts. Alright, let's grab these and weld up the cradle. Start on this end here. No, I don't want the basic assembler. I want the blast doors. Alright. So we have finished that construction. And now we are going to put together, after I recharge my hydrogen, boy, can I read that situation or what? How much did we end up putting in there? Well, we put in the steel plates. Alright. So. I'm going to put that in. We're going to put a bunch of these guys in. So, starting with this one. We're going to slap that guy on there. And then we are going to place one of these on. This will connect those two top storage units to the survival kit, so that we have a good survival setup. And then I need to add a battery. This will be one of two batteries that we're actually going to be placing on the bottom here. That will help us to power this vehicle and keep it running. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this part started. And then I need this guy for after. Alright, so let's start with all of the materials that we need. Alright, before we begin, I'm going to need to do some more mining. So let's clear out as much inventory space as we can. Let's fill up on water. Okay. Alright, so we need to refill some of that with some ice. So let's go here and just put together some ice. Although I think I have some spare ice laying around, so I'm not going to grab too much. And toss that in there. And in there. Alright, so we're filled up on food and water for now. Let's get to some mining. Check that out. That one. So the reason I'm checking these out in big chunks like this is because I think, and this is more theory than anything else, I think that if I take the time to do it, then it will be quicker and easier to drop them all in big chunks back into the main system. And letting them roll down the hill saves me transport time because I can simply step over here and give them a nice good shove. So there should be 4 or 5 of them down there. I can't quite remember.
Inventory full.
So now I can zip over here. Fly back.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
Okay. This I'll have to do until I can get a more high volume mining process, but I'm not going to really do that until I have a reason to do so. Right now, there's no purpose. Whoa! Hockey shot. That was a slap shot. Alright. let's go ahead and take a look here at what we need. So first things first, we need 25 steel plates and 5 construction components. Okay. 2 computers and 20 power cells. Okay, well that's producing those, since those take a while to produce. We're going to do, okay, so the medical components is going to be a problem on this, but we'll have to live with it. We'll fill that one in later then. 15 steel plates. Okay. Alright, start with this guy. And this way we can start charging this battery as we go. Hopefully by the time we're done building, the batteries will be fully charged. Alright, 6 and 6. Small tubes and motors. Okay. And then 6 computers. Alright, let's go get some more mining done. It's like the never-ending story here. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe. I'm going to do some more mining off camera, and we'll get back to the build as we go along. Until next time, I'm Wrath. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the flip side.